So apology is obviously the first thing that is going to come to people's mind is did you say sorry? And we've discussed this in other podcasts. I think we have a whole podcast about like, should you make children say sorry? Go and look through that one, because that underpins so much of what Wem and I have learned about that kind of thing. But whether you should or shouldn't, let's park that for a minute and just say that like somebody wants to apologize. And I'm going to use apologize as different to say sorry, because say sorry already has that kind of verbal element in it. The saying sorry is the powerful bit, whereas actually giving an apology now it just occurs to me as I'm unpicking this bias and going like, do I give equal weight to I think I do, but those kind of other ways of apologizing. And by other ways of apologizing, I mean things like acts of service, in terms of that might be fixing something that has gone wrong, rebuilding something that's got knocked over, setting something back up for someone, those kind of things. There's also kind of those like I think there's an avenue for like artistic apologies, and in that often this is done by very, very young children, and I don't know whether it kind of culturally comes out or whether it's just because of this verbal bias, that quite often if you see young children, they would draw pictures for each other in order to apologize. And sometimes they're pictures that have the people involved in them, sometimes they are just an abstract picture, but the intention, as I understand it, is underneath this kind of like, I have done an act of service, I have created something to express my feelings of apology, and now I'm giving it to that person. Now, the difference, I think, between those acts of service and acts of art and different acts of apology, and as compared to verbal apologies, is time. Quite often those first ones that I described, those non-verbal apologies, are things that take a little bit longer, and they quite often are, quote John Crewe, who would say that you strike when the iron is cold, and sometimes that space, in terms of giving someone the time to set something up, giving something up, not only does that give the I'm going to use the word victim, but I don't mean the victim, because that's quite a loaded word, but let's use it for now. It just gives the victim time to kind of re-regulate and be ready to receive an apology, and it gives the person who is apologizing space to make sure that they're apologizing in a way that they feel, again, they get space to re-regulate. Whereas quite often, because verbal apologies are so fast, I think they can be done in a state where neither person is re-regulated, because they're so fast to say, look, say sorry, do that thing, tick the box. It's for the leader's benefit, it's for the parent's benefit, that you can kind of sign that interaction off as done. And actually, whether those words have any weight, and also what it means in terms of forcing people to, or not forcing, but encouraging people to apologize in a single way, in a single route. Like that, if you have the feeling of remorse, there is only one acceptable avenue, and that is verbally saying sorry. Now, for a plethora of reasons, that might not be possible. Whether that's social inhibitions or emotional overwhelm or language barriers, or all those things that we've kind of covered. But like, to be able to offer someone an opportunity to rebuild relationships outside, and removing a verbal barrier, if you think there's a verbal barrier there, is something that, again, I'm going to be looking for in my practice going forwards, to go, how does this go?